Hey everyone, welcome back to the Beyond Business podcast. Super excited about our guest today. We have our creative director, Jon Wretlind, with us. He has over 30 years of experience within the marketing and design world. And man, there are, I think I say this at the end of the podcast, but we could probably write 10 different books about the different things we touch on. There's a lot of value crammed in today, and especially if you're a business owner that wants to get creative again or find some passion and make your business or brand stand out, this is a great episode for you. So excited for you to listen and tune in and hear our conversation with Jon. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Obviously, as you know, this is the Beyond Business podcast. Super excited about the lineup we have today. Returning, we have Hunter Wylie, the owner of Beyond Blue Media, the digital marketing company that we're all a part of that is behind the brains of this podcast. And super excited for our guest today, Jon Wretlind, who is one of the most creative and funny and quirky people on our team. Super excited to dive in and kind of peel back the layers of who Jon is and hopefully, obviously, provide some value along the way. This is Chris Rothenbury. Welcome to the podcast. Jon, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks a lot.
So pumped.
To get me out this early in the morning, you know, where's my reefer? Compete with Elon here.
Yeah, we were just talking about right now, and this is October in Colorado. Some pretty big wildfires raging around. We've had a very smoky week.
Oh yeah.
So Jon has this perfect voice crackle for radio this morning.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
We're gonna try and match him with the raspy voice.
All the women will think I'm sexy
That's right.
Until they watch it, right?
until they watch it.
Well, yeah, Jon, obviously would love to, obviously Hunter and I have gotten to know you super well over the past couple of years, but would love for our listeners, I think there's a lot to dive into, but would love for you to give a brief overview of your career. Obviously, you've been in the creative design world for a long time and have seen so many different parts of that world. So would love an overview of maybe, young 20-year-old Jon to now, and hopefully along the way can tie in how you got to Beyond Blue, and then we'll dive more into those things, and then obviously outside of marketing a little bit as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I got into the creative and design business in 1988 as a typesetter, essentially. When I left home and moved to Denver, I was young, 18, 19 years old. I got a job as a typesetter traditionally, and that introduced me to the world of design. I worked for designers and started doing production art, formed my own company, which was called 40th Parallel Productions in I was 19 years old, so I don't even remember the date anymore. Anyway, and then did that for a while. I mean, that business was right at the transition from desktop publishing, so from traditional print media to desktop publishing, and then the industry changed a ton. So I decided to go to college and attended Art Center in 93. And during that period of time is when the internet became popular. And I was exposed to doing web design in school. So I started building websites, freelance, and for all my projects in 94. And I've been pretty much in the web industry ever since.
Well,
still love doing print work, still love doing design and branding work, but doing it more for interactive media and online.
So good.
Sounds well done.
Yeah.
Kept it short and sweet.
Yes.
I think because you've been in this world for so long, one of the things I definitely wanted to touch on and get your feedback and insight into is from the 1980s to now. Obviously, a lot has changed. You were part of the .com boom, and you've seen these wild rides in the internet. So if you fast forward from where things at with HTML coding to now, what do you feel like are the biggest things that people get wrong if either they're building the website or they're hiring out for it in that design process nowadays? Because you've obviously seen a wide variety of these sites and how they function.
Right. I think people get things wrong the same way they always have. And they don't have the fundamentals of communication, of visual and verbal or content communication. Their brand isn't speaking to their customers. They are talking about themselves rather than talking about their customers' needs. Wow. So design is something that takes a need, like I have a need for air conditioning, or I have a need for HVAC services or roofing, or I have a need for something. And out there are quite a few of those businesses, right? And there always have been. Yep. But it takes that need to, what we want to do is convert that into a demand for your business. And design has the capacity of doing that, and branding has the capacity to where you're top of mind, where your business is top of mind. But if you're just speaking about yourself, no one cares.
Right.
Really, because they have a need and you need to address their need. So, I mean, fundamentally, it hasn't changed. That's been an issue with design all along, and with businesses.
Yeah, and speak to that a little bit more, because we have lots of business owners that are listening to the podcast. Yeah. So they might be thinking, crap, I have a massive about page about everything about me, and everything on the front page of my website is about me and how great our company is, but our clients don't actually care. Like, their customers don't actually care if they think that they're the best. So speak to that a little bit more, and maybe even give some wisdom for that guy. Or that woman that's running the business that actually is not speaking to their customers. What would you say to them?
Well, I mean, basic, sort of going back to the basic principles of marketing. Take your strengths. Yeah. Take the things that you are and things that you do, and convert them, and think about them in terms of, what do my customers need? What do I do as a unique sales proposition? Sure. What is my unique? So, write yourself a one-sentence statement of your business. I am we provide roofing services for, commercial businesses and I do it by focusing on foam insulation or things like make you unique. Sure. Okay. And that solve their problem. And from there, you'll know kind of how to rephrase your strengths into needs. Yeah, that's so good. Again, into your customer's voice, and speak like them. They have a need. Just think of yourself as a consumer, right? Like when you are looking for a product, because business owners are people, right? So when they're looking for a product, what do you do?
So good. Yeah, we have to speak to the needs. I think that's crucial. Way more about the needs and way less about how great you are as a business owner, because people don't care.
Yeah, you're telling them a story, but you're leading them on that path in the journey. But you have to hook them by connecting with where they're at.
Right. That's so good. So good.
Yeah, I was going to follow up and ask, maybe we don't out anyone on the negative side. If there's anyone that comes to mind, you can certainly say so. But I was curious, over the years, whether it's a current company or maybe ones that have come and gone, are there any brands or businesses that come to mind that have done this really well? And then if there are, maybe we don't have to name them by name, but maybe can give some details about how they didn't quite hit that mark, or were a little too focused on themselves and missed what the consumers wanted to hear.
Boy, there are a lot of brands out there, and it's still quite early. So, who out there has made this connection well? Okay, so here's an example. IKEA, right? It's a great brand. Cheap furniture for young people that you can assemble these things in theory with a with an Allen wrench, right? With an Allen wrench and a booklet of material of instructions, right? But they'll take you on the store experience at they'll take you on a sort of fantasy land of products when you're going there. They'll take care of your kids. They'll feed you with Swedish meatballs when you're visiting. It's not simply a visit to a store, right? It's an experience, right? And you're going through that, and throughout that entire experience, they're envisioning your studio, your place. Again, they're speaking to typically younger audiences with apartment dwellers, smaller flats, so to speak. And they are appealing to that sort of design sensibility with bright colors and just interesting things.
Yeah.
And so again, they've tapped into who their customer ideally is, and then taken them through an experience that makes them feel like that these interiors or these living environments are possible and
So good.
accessible, right?
Yeah.
So, it's not high-end furniture.
Right. And they don't market what they're not. I mean, like
Right.
you said, they know that they're cheap and really, really affordable furniture, and they're marketing to those people that want cheap and really affordable furniture. They're not
Right.
marketing that they're a luxury brand.
Yeah.
So I think knowing who you are is crucial to that.
Yeah, exactly. They're not Ethan Allen, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Any follow-ups on that?
No, I think that
I do
was
have a
great.
whole bucket to dive into. So.
Yeah. No, I think that was great. I mean,
John's making me ping off in a bunch of different directions, so I want to make sure I'm not
Yeah.
too scattered.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I think of the big brands too, just when you ask that question, I think of the big brands like Amazon and Apple that, Jeff Bezos, I just watched a documentary on him. Their whole motto at Amazon is obsessed with clients. Like they're obsessed with their clients, and everything they do is surrounding that trait. Yeah. So every update they make on the site, everything that they do is obsessed with clients. So I just thought that was really good.
Right.
And that spoke to who they are, because that's how they make all their decisions, is based on that.
Right.
In the same way that IKEA makes decisions based on who they are.
Yeah, and I think, and even in the smaller scale, so sometimes we're talking about if you're a small business owner, I'm not Amazon or Apple with big budgets.
Right.
Well, okay, we worked with a small, Happy Lucky, right, tea shop.
Yeah.
George over there has done a great job at connecting with what his customers want, creating an experience with his brand, creating an online store that mirrors and interacts with his on-ground shops. And it's a small business growing. He provides a very unique product, and all of his personality is infused in this thing and in tea. Right. And it comes through, as well as meets customers where they want that experience of being in a tea shop.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good example of a local brand.
Yeah.
And it's a smaller business that does the same thing really well.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, just to not go too far down the rabbit hole, but they've been with us for quite some time, and I think when I first met them was blown away by their intentionality, and they're a great example of people who are passionate about what they do. The several meetings I had with them, I got passionate about tea just talking to them. I've never been a big tea drinker, and could see that, like you said, George's creativity and his passion was in the work, and he was always coming up with different blends specific to what his customers wanted, and they have it dialed in on what their people want. It's super niche and it's super narrow, but they do it well.
So good.
And I think maybe the only other thought I had on that was, I unfortunately can't remember his name off the top of my head. He's a big guy in the business world, especially for startups and identifying who you are. And to your point, as far as IKEA, when you know what you're really good at, you know where the money goes. And the example this guy gave on his podcast, I believe, was you look at Zappos, they're good at customer service. They dial in on that. And so if they're going to look at saving some money for shipping costs or saving some money on their customer service side, they're going to try and find a cheaper box because they want to make sure that the customer service side is taken care of, which I think can help direct you of where your priorities are.
That's great.
And there was a conversation I had with a recent client. She kills and knocks customer service out of the park, but she's priced herself too low. And there's value in just saying, like, you are great at connecting with your customers, and you need to be more prideful of that, I think, a little bit, and charge what you're worth, because you're not a cheap skincare brand. You deserve people to know that you're going to go a step above. So,
So good.
John, I think we can see how we'll kind of maybe move out of the marketing side of things, or at least the digital side here soon. But I think the only other thing I was really intrigued about is you oversee our creative team.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people we have on our team are, fresh into the world. They're in their 20s, maybe just recently graduated college, very talented and very creative. And obviously, as you've said, you've seen a lot of this world and these consistent things that people haven't gotten better at. So I'm curious what that's been like, interacting with them and inspiring them and helping them in that process. And maybe, what you see as a silver lining and what they have that's unique that maybe you didn't have coming into the world, and then maybe some things that you have to kind of dial them back and help them get back to the basics of creativity and design, because I think the technology can water things down sometimes.
Well, how many questions was that?
Sorry, I got on my tangents.
He's like, wait a minute. Here, I'm ticking off the number of questions here. Going, okay, so working with the
we'll start with
the young whippersnappers.
Yeah, whippersnappers.
No, it's awesome. I feel young working with them. Younger. And I'm not old. By any means. But nevertheless, it is refreshing to work with young people, younger people, young designers coming in with a passion to do great things. Now, they have the tools that I didn't have. Right. A lot of things are accessible to them, which were not accessible to me when I started. Like digital photography, for example, that wasn't a thing when I started. Having online tools that could quickly, help you do incredibly quick and, beautiful looking illustration, things that allow you to quickly create ideas in, quick. But that on the one hand is a double-edged sword, because quickness is not necessarily the best for creativity. Okay, because the human, in a way, our technology sort of outpaced our own human mind's natural creativity and natural healthy rhythm.
Right.
And so one of the dangers of that is that with people who have never not known a world without a cell phone, never not known a world without a smartphone. Is that the pace of this world that folks live in, can be detrimental to developing their own natural creative thinking. And, as humans, we've evolved to a certain point, and biological evolution is slow compared to, the massively fast technological evolution. So, technology has been shooting up in a exponential rate in terms of its capability and capacity, but people haven't. So in a way, it's easy to become overwhelmed and enamored by the technology so much that you stop thinking.
That's so good.
And, when we're talking about small business people who want some, this has affected our business environment too, because businesses now, they have this expectation.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not always the best thing for you. Going back to basics of what makes you most human, what makes human creativity flourish, is being able to take a beat and think. So, I try to encourage a process with our designers to actually slow down. Don't just spit out the thing that will work okay. But if you really want excellence, you've got to kind of dig deep and kind of circumvent or subvert the tendency to just kind of rely on the technology.
Yeah, John, that's so good. And I think that's one of the reasons that we separate ourselves from competitors, other digital marketing agencies, because we don't just rely on AI and templatized sites to create sites for our customers. We, like John said, I love that he gets to have his hand and his touch on every site that's coming through our doors that we build, because we're not using templatized sites. We're hearing the brand and we're creating a website around that brand. So can you maybe talk to the importance of that? Like, talk to the importance of the difference in other agencies that just build templatized sites for people that come to them versus building a site around a business owner's brand.
Well, the big one of the biggest things that make us different isn't just that we do custom work, right? We do very custom work, but a lot of studios do custom work. But why are we in business? I go back to our roots. Like, why do we serve people? We serve businesses. We made it intentional. You have made it intentional business Hunter, to serve businesses to empower their lives, right? We are here to empower our customers' brands, not just because for its own sake, but so that they can have a thriving life.
So good.
Right? With their employees having thriving environments to live in. And same thing for our company when we're managing our employees. We're not managing a company just to make us all some money. We are managing a company to make us a thriving group of people who are a close-knit family who support each other and have the capacity to do that. And, oh, by the way, we do this through the vehicle of website and digital marketing. Yeah. So I think in that way, your the idea of how to take a brand, when I'm taking a customer's brand and putting it out there, it is to reflect who they are to their world, find their tribe, right? Connect with them in a way that's authentic rather than trying to, just be someone who they're not.
So good.
And so that all that is where the customization comes in. You can't do that with a crank it out template and throw up some basic, FAQs and, an about page, digital brochure. Even as nice as that template looks, you can't do that unless you really care about who that is. And so we're not here to just crank it out.
Right. No, that's great. Yeah, love that.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful tie-in because I want to touch on some of the passions I know you have, especially within art. No surprise there.
Yeah.
But I mean, just have heard from you numerous different modes and different things that you've done your art through, whether it's sketching or painting. And I think within that, would love to, talk about how that helps you. Maybe like you're talking about, take a step back, get back to the raw materials you're working with instead of a quick Photoshop or whatever it is, throwing together something fast and just taking a moment to sit back and dive yourself into that. So obviously I know that's a big part of your world right now. I think it has been for a long time. And would just love to hear why that process is important to you and what you kind of get out of it when you dive into, really letting your inner artist out.
Right. I mean, it's energizing, really, for me. When I started in the business, it was like I always used to say it was like being in kindergarten, but you got paid. You were able to.
We're going to use that for the hook of this episode.
you have like you're cutting and pasting. You're coloring. You're doing things by hand, the materiality. And I've always been a person who loves to draw, who loves the materiality of things, okay? Something that technology has tended to do is divorce our physical bodies from our mental bodies. And from our spiritual bodies, right? So from ourselves. So our technology has become kind of a surrogate for our hands. And our hands that are connected to our minds, and it's a poor substitute, right? So part of what invigorates me when I am doing art, sometimes the best thing for me in terms of thinking through dealing with a website or dealing with someone's brand is to stop and go to my art board and go to the paint and throw some paint on a canvas and sort of let that part of the brain percolate for a while so that I can recharge and I can be thinking in the background what would I do differently or what makes them unique. And then that rhythm of creation, because ultimately art is self-expression, but it is also connection to others. And so design is connection to others, so it's not that different. So I've spent, that's the reason why I'm pursuing my MFA right now at Vermont College of Fine Art. It is an important aspect of keeping my mind fresh and reconnecting me with that kid, with that sort of inner child who likes to play with things and get paid for it.
So good.
and then take that energy and put that into the client's work.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. That's super interesting that you use the specific wording, just because I wouldn't say I'm a stellar athlete, but it's been a part of my life so far in a lot of ways, and have been going through something right now to kind of designed for coaches to help serve the overall player instead of just be one track. My goal is to get you a scholarship or bust. And one of the parts they talk about is if you have an athlete that's burned out, or maybe you notice their effort or energy has gone down, they encourage these coaches to make the sport fun again, because I think this isn't maybe just an American problem, but we've made it such a business and such a grind, and it's all about working hard and reaching for a goal, right? And then they forget about the fact of what brought these kids to the sport in the first place. And so there's stories of coaches, having kids just playing tag at practice, and they notice the energy and the laughs, and they work harder after that. So I love how that even ties into the art world, and how you're saying that just getting back to the basics and having fun and letting your mind kind of run is super valuable. And
so
tethers you.
Yeah, we're in a really big transition culturally and mentally as people from a world that was industrialized, right, where you punched a clock, everything was synchronized, to a factory, right, to a world which is allows us a lot more flexibility, but we still have some of those mindsets of the factory floor in in the way we do business, where we again get like, oh, this is business, it can't be fun. Like, no. I would say that a lot of our small business owners do not view it that way, do not want to view it that way.
Right.
But we can all get sucked into that, looking at stats and performance and analytics and going, okay, all this is great, but where's the fun? Where's the humanity here?
What do you say to the business owner that just thinks that way? Because as I hear you talk, I'm like, man, I wish I had more of that creativity. I do somewhat, and I think most business owners. But what about Joe that's running a plumbing company in Vermont? Like how does he implement creativity if he's just not a creative guy? Like I have to rely on you within our company for creative thoughts and creativity. So what do you say to the small business owner or the guy or gal that's wanting to start a company but is like, man, I don't have that creativity that John might have?
We're going to bring back Joe the plumber.
Joe the plumber.
Joe the plumber, you're famous again. Every human being is creative. Okay, my personal belief is that we're all made in the image of God, who is a creator God.
Amen.
That's and therefore we have innately within us the need, the drive, the power to create something in our image.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
So
good.
When Joe the plumber is plumbing, he's solving problems in a creative way.
So good.
And hopefully he's having fun doing it. Now, when he comes to his marketing, he's probably not thinking, how do I have fun with this? Or if he's listening, reading the Wall Street Journal, there's not a whole lot of, I don't know about the joke section in the Wall Street Journal, right? Where's the comics? That's what I want to know. Where's the comics section?
Sure.
So, that creativity. So you rely on me for a certain type of expression of creativity that reflects who I was uniquely made.
Sure.
But you have your own uniqueness and your own creativity in the way that you were uniquely made. So to then bring that around is, how are you bringing yourself into your business and allowing that creativity in play to find its crowd?
So good.
When we play in the park as kids, we find friends that want to play ball with us,
right? Because
they think it's fun too. Not every person's going to be the tribe for every business, right? But not every client's a fit for us,
right?
But if you're really connecting to what you're doing and having fun and what makes you feel creative,
Right.
then you're going to bring that energy back into your marketing and your business when you work with a partner that gels with what you're thinking.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think what I just heard you say is creativity needs to be fun, and it should be fun. And it looks, my creativity looks different than yours. And so, I think that's helpful and even just inspiring for me and hopefully for other people of just, you just need to start with the thing that is fun to you within your business. Because running a business should be fun. Being creative should be fun. Making websites or doing plumbing or whatever your thing is should be fun to you. And if it's not your thing, right? You're working within your weaknesses, not your strengths.
Right.
I love that. Creativity should be fun, and you got to just start. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, and as you were talking about that, this is still one of the most impactful stories that sticks out to me as far as something, a little nugget. You always have little nuggets you're throwing around, but this is one that's stuck out to me in a conversation with an old coworker, and you were talking about artists and creativity. And I can't remember if I had said it or somebody else had voiced it, but somebody said something along the lines of like, oh, I'm just not very naturally artistic, or I'm not very gifted artistically, whether it's painting or drawing, whatever it is. And he kind of pushed back and said, everyone is. It's just a matter of practice and how that plays out for you. And so I think that was challenging for me because I have a little sister who's very gifted with drawing and a little bit more on the abstract side. And I always told myself, she's the artistic one. I have gifts elsewhere. But I love that you're rehashing that and saying, no, there's something that you're gifted at, and everyone's artistic and a creator in some way. It's just whatever that plays out for. I mean, plumbing can be art. Right. All of us love when our plumbing system works, and we need an artist to come in if something's wrong.
You get a plumber who knows, like, who sees that brazed copper pipe, that perfectly brazed pipe. Okay, so if you're a plumber out there, you know that, right? You know what a good weld looks like. You know what the properly brazed thing looks like. And you can appreciate it. It's a true art for you. And that is something I cannot do. Okay, so, at the same time, not everything in business is fun. Of course, I don't like it when websites go boom and we have to fix things sometimes, but then reframing things into like, okay, so this is a puzzle now. We're playing a puzzle game now. So now we're figuring it out and make it fun. But again, you're looking at what part of your career, what part of your business, what part of that is that perfectly artistically well done thing where you take great satisfaction in it. And so much so that you might want to take a snapshot out of it and put it on Instagram or something. Right. That is then your passion and who you are.
Right. Love that.
Yeah, I think as we kind of get closer to wrapping up here, one of the things I'd love to circle back on, and again, this is just one of those classic Jon quips I'm sure you didn't come up with, but I just put it to you, so congratulations. You can brand it for yourself, but I've heard it time and time again that the fastest way to kill a bad product or service is good marketing.
Yeah.
And circling back as we're talking about a lot of these business pieces, and I mean, we've touched on so many different things as far as building your brand. When you think about that statement, maybe we can start with the first half. How can business owners identify if they have a product or service that is not ready for good marketing? Because otherwise they're just throwing money to the wind.
I think innately, are you passionate about what you're putting out there, and are you getting good feedback from people that say this is a good product, right? Yeah. Yes, that statement I think was Ogilvy who made it. Was the fastest way to kill a bad product is good advertising. Yeah. So you have. A lot of times you, the business owner, are very close to what you're doing, and you haven't stepped back and gotten the opinion of others. Or innately you haven't put your 110% into the product to make sure it's really an awesome product. So, when you are working with a marketing company, a good marketing company will look at your product and should tell you the truth.
Absolutely.
about it. You know, I
Absolutely.
mean, we're responsible as stewards of our clients' brands, and at Beyond Blue, you know, we take it to the point to where it's like our company, and it's like our product. We own this thing, and we want to be able to have confidence that what we put out there isn't junk.
Absolutely.
So a good marketing company will sit down with you and say, you know, you need to work on something, you know, or this isn't the right approach for this particular product because, you know, it's vulnerable.
Or we just don't want to, we just can't market your product.
Yeah,
we've had people come to us that say, hey, I want to be the next president of the United States, and I have a large marketing budget, and we're like, we're just not going to do marketing.
For him on my ballot. I didn't see
You didn't see him.
I did see Kanye.
Yeah.
So we've had people like that come to us, and as passionate as they are about their product or them running for president or whatever, no matter how big their marketing budget is, it's just like we're not your people. Like we want to market quality products because great marketing just doesn't work.
Yeah, we have to be honest, and it doesn't serve anyone to come to a company who isn't giving you that kind of feedback.
Absolutely.
Everything can be improved by 14%. Okay, anything.
No.
And again, that's not my quote. That's it's Ed Fella. But so let's give attribution to whom it's due. Yeah. But you know, anything can be improved by 14%. Has stuck with me ever since art school because you can sit there with a client and they're asking you, they're relying on you to give them honest feedback about your product, about how to be successful. And there are so many other companies out there who will just take your product, take your money, say, hey, we'll put you at the top of Google, without ever asking, is it a good thing for this to be right now at the top of Google?
So good.
Wow.
Will I be killing your business?
Yeah.
And those are businesses, those are companies, you know, we all know who they are, who are out there, who are just there for the money.
Yeah.
Just to take your money and not really own the results.
Right.
And so we want to have good results, but it starts with a good brand. It starts with a good product.
Love that, John.
Yeah, you're already kind of leading into obviously the second part of that formula, and you've touched on, you know, if you're looking for a good marketing company, I was going to say, if we have business owners out there who want to outsource with a company like us or another company out there. You touched on the fact of obviously you want that one that's going to give you honest feedback and is going to be invested in your brand. Yeah. Is there anything else or any other pieces of advice you can give to a business owner looking for a quality marketing company? Because unfortunately, all of us have heard too many stories from clients coming on of getting burned or just finding a company that was just chasing the dollar and really wasn't plugged into their brand. So is there any other pieces of advice or things you can give to a business owner, questions to ask, whatever it may be, that will help them identify a quality company that'll partner with them and help give that advice that maybe is outside of their wheelhouse?
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of the companies that we've run into that are not doing a great job have a couple things in common. One of which is that they promise you results fast, like amazing results quickly.
Speaking of which, what's the other quip you have about good marketing? About consistency.
Yeah, I was about to say this.
I'm jumping
which
again.
is that marketing, is not sales, and marketing is consistent actions over time. Good marketing is consistent actions over time, and marketing isn't the same as sales.
So good.
Okay, so you're going to hire a marketing company, and they're sitting there and promising you, top of Google within a month. Ain't going to happen.
Right.
Run, because they're not actually thinking about, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. And so a lot of these companies have templates and dashboards and things like that that are all fancy looking. But the assumption is you're running a business, ergo you need these templated tools that are one-size-fits-all. And, that might work for blue jeans where you can buy it off the rack. But, how honestly, we men will put up with a lot of things that don't fit. But the women out there know that ain't, off the rack blue jeans, one size, it just doesn't happen.
Right.
right? You really have to search for the right thing to get the right fit.
So good.
So, this is, those are some aspects of companies to watch out for, are companies that are promising you the moon without showing you how, without showing evidence that they're really going to listen to who you are.
It's almost become a pyramid scheme of people promising these get rich quick, and it just doesn't work. Which is why marketing companies get a bad rap in the industry, because there are people that have come in that are just wanting to take people's money and promise these crazy results and promise that you'll be rich tomorrow. And it takes money to grow. It takes time. It takes equity to build a brand, to build a successful company. So
wasn't it Gary Vee who said that marketers ruin everything?
Marketers.
This morning I'm still mumbling. Marketers ruin everything. Marketers ruin everything. And the example I think of is he's talking about this analysis, and I can't remember what his early example was in the 90s and 2000s, but he said they took this and then they ruined it, and then he said in 2000s and 2010s things started going viral, and then marketers took that and ruined that because they just grabbed onto it and used it for purposes of sales. And so it probably felt inauthentic to people. And so his classic quip is that marketers ruin everything, because when something good comes along, they latch on and just squeeze all the juice out of it.
Right. I mean, these are marketers that we have a tendency to look at the next thing as some gimmick or whiz-bang thing that's out there, latch on, and then say, this is the thing that's going to transform your business. Right. Okay. And that's tactical thinking, not strategic thinking. Mm-hmm. That's a huge mistake that has been age-old mistake in advertising and marketing. It's you're looking at the tactics before you understand the strategy. A marketing company who's going to come to you and say, what you need is a sales funnel. We're all about funnels. We do funnel. For a while there, every time I got onto a marketing podcast, it was a pyramid scheme looking to sell me another sales funnel, because that would just transform, and I could consult, and I could be, make $100,000 a month, and, oh my, with the sales funnel. It's like, it reminds me of the Simpsons episode about monorails. Like,
never seen it.
Springfield, it's all about the monorail. We need the monorail. And it destroyed the town, right? So because they invested all their money in the monorail, which they didn't actually need, but they were convinced by the marketer that they needed it, right? So classic episode. Okay. But so...
we'll have to go do our homework after this.
We'll have to go look at your Simpsons lore. Yeah. But the idea here is that it's not about some gimmick. It's not even about a website. I don't care if a company has a website or not. I care if they understand their strategy and they know how to connect with their tribe.
So good.
And sometimes the website is not necessarily the best tool to do that. Wow. So, if we're thinking about creativity and we're thinking about tactics have to be part of an organized brand strategy. Otherwise you're just putting out, you're just like throwing darts on a board hoping one hits, and it might.
Wow. So
but good. Most of the time we have really poor aim when we do that.
Right. Wow. So good.
Yeah, a lot to chew on. Want to wrap up here, and I mean that was enough value I think for a lifetime. Yeah. And already want to have you back on in the future and dive into even more of these things, because I can't imagine there not being at least a couple of different pieces of value that you've given business owners along the way to hopefully help them stand out. And your line at the end there of, websites aren't necessarily the best way for you to connect with your tribe. I think that's what we've been told, and everybody plugs into that, but not everybody's going to be there. So many different things I wish we could keep going on. I think we'll definitely have to have you back on. But Jon, thank you so much for coming on the Beyond Blue podcast. Thank you so much for your wisdom and authenticity and everything else. And then, super excited to have you back sometime. And for everyone else listening out there, we hope there's some value pieces along the way. I think there was enough to write 10 different books probably in there and a lot of different subjects. But thank you for tuning in. Excited to have Jon back in the future. And for now, have a great rest of your day, evening, afternoon, whatever it may be.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.